black vote. You know that. Very, very high black vote. It was a very great compliment to me. I did criminal justice reform. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets $4 or $5 billion a year from the United States government in the form of grants, and they have $53 billion, and yet they don't treat the people right. They take foreign students, nobody knows where they come from, and they viciously hate our country. And I'm saying if we're going to give grant money, we want people in that school that are going to love our country, not people that are going to hate our country. They run a bad operation up there, and we have to get to the bottom of it. On top of that, they said they want to teach their students remedial mathematics. That's basic math. 2 and 2 is 4. And you say, well, Harvard's supposed to be so great. Why do people have to have remedial? That's basic, very simple mathematics. So we're looking into Harvard, but we give them billions of dollars a year, and that may very well stop. And that's up to the president. It's up to our government. We don't have to grant them money. We can grant that money to people that really need it, and frankly, people that you'd rather have me give the money to, Stephen.
Mr. President, as a graduate of Winston-Salem State University, which is an HBCU, I'm fully aware of the contributions that you've made to HBCUs in the past.
Thank you.
There is a concern, however, that with all the things going on in this day and time, that there will be a cut in federal contributions to HBCUs. Should HBCUs be very concerned about you making cuts in that regard?
Not at all. And let me just tell you, I'm glad you brought it. Historically black colleges and universities, I saved them, Stephen. They were going out of business. They came to me, about 50 people that headed up, and they came to me the first year, and I took care of them. I took care of the black colleges and historically black HBCU. I took care of them. You know that better than anybody. Then they came to me the second year, and I said, wait a minute. Why do you keep coming back? I saw you guys, and they were great guys. Some of them, to this day, are still really friendly. And by the way, they love Trump, every one of them. They came to me the second time.
Well, you're giving them money.
They came to me the second time. They came to me the second time, and I was surprised to see him.
I got it, Mr. President.
Just to finish it. They came to me the third, and I said, fellas, you need long-term. I got the historically black colleges and universities. I got them more money than they ever dreamt possible. And they're in great shape now, and they have long-term financing. Nobody did that but Donald Trump.
Okay. Stephen A. Smith may run for president, as you know.
Just so you know, one of those people that came to him asking for money was Van Jones and CNN. Van Jones came snot bubbling and crying about the HBCUs and the money that they needed, et cetera, and Trump helped them out. And look how Van Jones has repaid him. He said one good thing. He said he did do that, and that was it. But other than that, look how Van Jones has repaid him. Now they're going to talk about Stephen A. Smith running for president. Disgusting. I don't want to see it. Doesn't deserve it. Not good for the position. He's not a Donald Trump. He's not an outsider. Question right here. Stephen A. Smith, where's he going to get his money from? He's going to get his money from the same people Kamala Harris got her money from. He's going to get it from Soros's. He's going to get it from these backdoor people who are going to control him if he ever gets in office. Get out of here.
Do you have any advice for Stephen A? If he launches the run?
No, Stephen A. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. I love watching him. He's got great entertainment skills, which is very important. People watch him. You know, a lot of these Democrats I watch, I say they have no chance. I've been pretty good at picking people and picking candidates, and I will tell you, I'd love to see him run.
All right, there you go. You got one more?
Not me. I like him too much.
Wow. How about that? Just went straight against me. How dare he? How dare Donald Trump? I'd love to see him run. And he could be saying that for the same reason he wanted Mark Carney to win in the Canadian election. Maybe it's because he knows it's easier to steamroll a liberal. It's easier to steamroll someone like Stephen A. Smith because he's really not going to be ready for the type of smoke that either Donald Trump, Eric Trump, Don Jr. brings to the table. or JD Vance or Vivek. He's just not going to be able to stand up to the pressure. Let's be honest.
Mr. President, we're gonna let you go. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask you something because I know that for you, legacy matters. You talk about it in-house, you talk about it out-of-house. When you got shot, I reached out through family. I wanted to talk to you, and I wanted to tell you a couple of things. One was that I hope that you were okay and that your family was dealing with it all right. And the second one was that I was embarrassed by how it was being covered as if maybe it didn't happen. And I told my audience that I spoke to you. I didn't talk about the details of the conversation because they didn't matter. But there was a lot of heat that came my way as if I shouldn't have been making a comfort call to Donald Trump. We're very divided, you know this. You want to be remembered as one of the greatest presidents in America. You know our history. Every president who's considered great was seen as a unifier. What do you need to do to be remembered as someone who could bring this country together?
Well, I think I will be a great unifier. That's what I want to be, and it's very important to me. Hispanic vote, I got the highest Hispanic vote, maybe, I think, ever for a Republican candidate. If you look at the border between Mexico and Texas, I won every single border state, and it was all Hispanic vote. I won Miami. I won Florida. I think I am a unifier. I think I have votes that Republicans have never gotten before, and that's why I was able to win the election in such a big fashion. With all of that being said, what I have to do is save the country. The country was going down the tubes. This country was in big trouble. You had a border where millions of people were pouring in from jails, from prisons. They were pouring in at levels from mental institutions, gang members, terrorists, and we're getting them out. You can't have a country with these people there. We had 11,888 murderers. Many of these people killed more than one person. More than 50% of them killed more than one person. We got to get them out of their country. I don't know if that's unity or disunity, but I have no choice. You know, some things you have no choice, but I do remember your call. I appreciate your call, and I actually appreciate your family. I've known your family for a long time. You know that.
Mr. President, I want to thank you very much for taking the time on a very busy day. Our audience there.
Trump is 100% already a unifier. I mean, you know, I've talked about it before. It's like the Republican Party, it now looks like the Unity Party. I mean, just look at the rallies. Just look at the rallies. Look at all the people, all the black people who started supporting him. All the Hispanic people, like he was talking about, who started supporting him. He's already brought, the Republican Party looks completely different. And it's not because people just came around. It's because of him. So I don't know. I wish there was a follow-up question to Chris Cuomo on how could he be more of a unifier than what he's already done. Because if you're looking for unification in regards to when is AOC going to walk up and hug you and praise you as a good president, she's not allowed to do that. If you're looking for the people who are being influenced by the mainstream media, who are saying that Trump is Hitler and Elon Musk is a Nazi and all this stuff, and they're willing to fight people on the streets just because they see a red hat, he's not going to be able to sway those people. There's nothing he could do. He would have to all of a sudden become like a Joe Biden or become like Kamala Harris and start doing these progressive things. And there's no reason for him to do that because everyone with common sense doesn't want to see those things happen. So it's like, what else could he do to be more of a unifier? Every race, color, and creed and religion decided to vote for him, and he won the election because of it. Like, how much more can he do? All you can do at this stage in the game, and when I say this stage, I mean having won the election, all you can really do is just do right by the country. Everything he's doing benefits the blue-haired people and the asexual and the this and the that and all that. It benefits all of them, although they act like it doesn't. They act like something's being taken from them. They're all benefiting from it. So there's no more he can do to be more of a unifier. He got the Jewish vote. He got the Muslim vote. He got the black vote. He got the Latino vote. He got the white vote. Like, he got the Asian vote. What are we talking about here? Like, what more do you need? It wasn't like it was all white people that voted for him, and it was like this whole white thing that happened. It was everybody voted for him. So I don't even understand. I wish somebody could ask him, what does that even mean? What are you looking for in terms of a unifier? Looking for Kamala Harris to come out of nowhere and just give him a pat on the back and say, you know what, this is my president. That's not going to happen. Those people aren't allowed to do that, and the mainstream media won't stop demonizing him. So all those people who have TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, that's not going to stop. They're going to keep having Trump derangement syndrome. Obviously. Man, Chris Cuomo, he's the worst. Anyway, let's keep going. I'll pull it back a little bit. How long have they been doing this? I'll pull it back a little bit. Okay, let's go here. Let's see where they're actually on the phone with him. This it?
Tried to change the church. Boy, did he got whacked. Okay? People don't like change.
So not trying to hear these guys talk to each other. This is a, what do they call this? A nightmare blunt rotation. This is a nightmare blunt rotation right here. Chris Cuomo, Bill O'Reilly, and Stephen A. Smith. Oh God, keep it. Keep it, man. You can keep it. You guys smoke it, man. I'm good, man. Nah, I'm gonna head home, man. Get out of here.
And they ended up winning Wisconsin. They predicted I was going to lose the election, and I ended up winning the election. They're fake polls, number one. And I think it's a very important thing to know that and to understand it. And because polls are no different than fake writers or journalism, and it's not a pretty thing when you watch. So when you say, am I bothered by it? If I was, I'd be really helped by the fact that in the election, we won in a landslide. We won the popular vote. We won the swing states. We won the districts, 2,750 to about 505. And the election took place just a short while ago, November 5th. I think it was
what's different now,
very
Mr.
big day
President,
for the country.
What's different
Yes.
now is the tariffs, and that's what's driving your numbers down. That some people are panicking because the stock market is so up and down, in and out. Would you agree that that has been a perception problem, the tariffs?
Yeah, but I'm an honest guy, and we have to save the country. We were losing $5 billion a day with this man that we had as a president, the AutoPen president. Nobody even knows who the president was. We're losing, think of it, we're losing $5 billion a day, and a big chunk of it was from China. Now China is sending its boats back. The boats are not being unloaded because they have a 145% tariff, which is, a record-setting type tariff. And they can't sell their product here. And because of that, think of it, if you're losing all of that money, maybe you're better off not doing business with them. But I took $5 billion a day and cut it way, way down, way, way back. And I did that within a very short period of time.
When do you think, though, it's going to turn around economically so that people aren't frightened? Do you have a timeline on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fair question. Building plants, building equipment, building so much right now. You probably heard it could be $8 trillion. It could be more than $8 trillion of new investments. Outside in one of my offices waiting for me is the president and chairman of Eli Lilly. And I just left, you take a look, IBM was here today. IBM was here. They're spending billions of dollars. I had some of the biggest Apple, as you know, is spending $500 billion. They're building their plants, and they've already started in the United States. As you know, they built most of them in China. We had the biggest companies in the world. I had a conference here just about an hour and a half ago, and some of the people are still here. They remain. Some of the people are watching your show tonight. But they're spending, it could be close, I think we're over $8 trillion of new investment. That's unheard of. It's never been anything like that.
But most people, but they want to know a timeline.
They're doing that to avoid the tariffs, Bill.
Okay.
If you want people to not be worried, if you want them to stop panicking, all they have to do is not watch the mainstream media. That's step one. And then what they have to do is start listening to Donald Trump speak. Start listening to the things that I show you guys, the press conferences, the town halls, the facts of what he's saying. Listen to his press secretary. Now, if you want to take the information and go see if it's true, that's great. That's what you should do as an that's your right. That's your right as an informed. It's your duty as being an informed citizen. That's what you have to go and do. But if you just hear what he's saying, you could understand perfectly. But if you're just stuck in this mindset of because most of the people who are like, oh, I'm panicking and I don't like this, there are already people who hate him. And they're passing themselves off as like, whoa, well, what's going on now? It's like, you already hated the guy. They're the same people who, when Donald Trump took his hand off the Bible, they said egg prices are still up. Oh, he's still up, man. It's still up. The guy's been in office for an hour. It's like those are the same people who are panicking, quote unquote, about the stock market. That's all this is. That's all you're seeing right now. And then there's some people who genuinely lost some money in the stock market and they don't know what's going on. Of course, that's actually real too, right? It's not like everything's just made up in terms of people not approving of Donald Trump. I get that. But all you have to do is just look at what he's doing. Like if you're panicking about the stock market, I tried to tell people this before it surged up like crazy. I'm like, it's going to correct. Like these things always correct. They don't just stay down. Like you could just look at the length of the stock market and just look at it. It always goes up. It always goes down. It corrects. It goes up. It goes down. People who are making money, they're making money in the ups and the downs. That's it. You just have to choose which one you're going to make money in. That's not advice or anything. That's just what I've seen throughout my life. But again, if you want to not worry about what's going on, don't watch the mainstream media. Don't take in what they're saying because they're trying their best to make him seem terrible. And on top of that, even more sinister, they're trying to make you panic. They're trying to get you into a panic. They want you to be upset. Now, it's up to debate how upset they actually want you and what they want you to follow through with. But I wouldn't give, I usually say to be charitable, I wouldn't give them any charity. I think they want you to follow through with some stuff. I think they want you to be pushed to the edge. I think that's what they want. So they can point at Trump and say, look how bad this guy is. So if you don't want to worry, don't watch the news. Peace out.
They're doing that to avoid the tariffs.
But do you have a timeline yourself? Do you say, look, it's got to stabilize by this time, fall? Because remember, if it doesn't stabilize this time next year, Democrats may win the midterms. So there is risk here, big risk.
That's true. It is true. And I just think that I'll be able to convince people how good this is. This is what other countries have done to us. We've been the laughing stock and the whipping post. We've been ripped off by every country practically in the world, just ripped off on trade. And by the way, ripped off with NATO and the military too, because we supported NATO to a tune that was almost, at one point until I became president, it was close to 100%. We were spending. So we're spending on NATO to protect Europe, and then on Europe, they're ripping us off on trade. But if you look at the European Union, they've been brutal to the United States. We lose $300 billion, $350 billion a year to Europe. They don't take our cars. We take 10 million of their cars.
That's getting better,
They don't take our farm products. Right. We take their farm products. And it has to change.
All right.
So,
okay, but
I'm willing to be the one that does that, but it has to change. And I've been given a lot of credit. I got an editorial today by a group that I won't mention, but a group that's a very sort of a semi-anti-Trump group. And they said, whether you like it or not, he's the most consequential president that we've ever had because he's doing things that if you don't do it, we won't have a country left.
Okay, and that's a legitimate point. One more question for me, then I'm Cuomo, and then Stephen A. You signed a deal with Ukraine to harvest minerals today. Yes. What were you and Zelensky talking about when you were nose to nose in the Vatican?
I was telling him that it's a very good thing if we can produce a deal that you sign it, because Russia is much bigger and much stronger. Russia is just chugging forward. It's a big, strong country. By the way, not nearly as strong as the United States, because I rebuilt our military in my first term. They gave a lot of it away in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is one of the reasons we had an incompetent president, grossly incompetent. He should have never been president. But we had a man that didn't know what the hell he was doing, and Afghanistan showed the stupidity of our leader and the weakness of the military. We have a great military. I knocked out ISIS in 3 weeks.
All right,
said it
well,
was
you
gonna
got
take
the
5
deal.
years.
You got the deal with Zelensky on the minerals. That means the United States is going to have a presence in Ukraine. Is that going to inhibit Putin, do you think?
Well, it could, but the reason I did that is that we're in for $350 billion or close to it, whereas Europe is only in it for $100 billion.
All right, so we get
That's a
some of
lot.
our investment back. All
I
right, Cuomo.
felt very foolish. You know, they loaned the money, and Biden handed them $350 billion in between cash and military equipment. 350, we got nothing, and I felt very foolish being the head of a country where Europe gets their money back, and it's a much smaller amount, and we get nothing. So I went to them and said, look, we got to get rare earth. They have great rare earth, meaning certain minerals, materials. They have things that a lot of places don't have. It's a big asset that they have. And we made a deal today where we get, much more in theory than the $350 billion. But I wanted to be protected. I didn't want to be out there and look foolish. And this is not my war. This is Biden's war. I'm just trying to stop it. But the reason I want it stopped is they're losing 5,000 young soldiers every single week on average. Russian and Ukrainian. They're not American, but they're human beings. And it's so sad to see it. So I want to stop the war.
Let's get Cuomo in here.
Mr. President, it's Chris Cuomo. Thank you for taking the opportunity.
Good.
Appreciate you doing it. A couple of points of uncertainty. You're talking about, you just said a moment ago that you believe you can convince the American people about what you're doing. One of the things that keeps coming up in polling is that they don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, that there doesn't seem to be a plan. What does that mean to you in terms of how you have to make the case to the American people to have them deal with the period that it takes for a turnaround?
Well, the problem is Chris, is I have to be flexible because as you do things in life and in business, you need flexibility. You can't just be hard line and I'm going to run right through a wall and I'm never going to go over it or around it. I'm going to go straight. You have to be able to dodge and move and be flexible, and especially in business. Now, with the cars, I'm getting a 25% tariff for the people. We're taking in billions and billions of dollars, but they're hurt because they can't switch over 100% of the content of the car within a very short period of time. So they came to see me. I understood their problem, and I gave them a period of a year where I brought it down, and then another year. So I gave them a short period, 2 years, where they have to be switched over 100%, where every single part in the car is made in the USA. Now, if I didn't do that, it would have been very, very tough for them. And so what I am is flexible. And if I didn't do that, it would be very tough for these companies. And these companies, it's a transition period, Chris. And transition's an important word because as you do things, you'll say, well, it's like being on the battlefield. You're on the battlefield. Sometimes you're going to move to the left flank, but then you end up moving to the right flank. And it's very much like that in business. And frankly, it's very much like that in life. But we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And if you look at China now, they're not, look, we lost $1 trillion on trade with this Biden. China was just taking us out to lunch. There's never been anything like it, the way we were ripped off. We were ripped off by China, but we were ripped off by everybody, but really by China. They were the king of ripping off the United States. Now they're not doing any business here because I don't want them to do business. So I set a high tariff. I don't want them to do business. Now, will we make a deal? There's a very good chance we're going to make a deal, but we're going to make it on our terms.
Mr. President,
it's got to be fair.
Mr. President,
see what I mean? He's saying, I don't want them to make money here because part of it is because of how much they've done to America or how much they've taken from America or how much money they've made off America. And it's just been so off balance. But another part of it is the more money they make from America, the more they can finance their AI race. The more they can put into that technology, the more that they can just keep throwing at it and making it smarter and smarter and smarter, while simultaneously ripping off anything in terms of tech that America does. So when he does stuff like that, it also evens the playing field a little bit. Now, I say evens the playing field. It kind of puts America ahead, because if it is an even playing field, America is going to do better. And I don't say that just being biased. I say that knowing of what they're doing with Taiwan and all the work that they're putting through, and the fact that all these things are going to start getting made in America. That's a huge, huge impact. You know, if China, the main reason they want to take over Taiwan is because if they took over Taiwan and Taiwan became part of China, they would be having chips made in America. Or sorry, they would have their chips made in Taiwan, which would then be a part of China. And then they would be ahead of the game. So I just keep noticing that there's more to the whole China back and forth that we're not seeing. And they're keeping it, and you know, credit to the Chinese president as well. They're keeping it as civil as possible. But underneath, that's really what's going on. They're fighting for this race right now.
The upcoming budget negotiations.